Exactly, section 8. 48 says that. So I don't know, I question what Mr. Berman said.
Yeah.
He's the lobbyist.
Yeah. Well, I remember just hoping they weren't going to show up. You know, no contestant, then.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that that came up in light of what they tried to do with that money they held for so long.
Well, that had a lot to do with writing those movies. Did you hear from Mr. Berman?
The Kaufman. He did not. He's swamped, I think. So I didn't, but it's postponed anyway. So I guess I don't know. It's kind of unknown at this point. But it's not on the agenda, so we'll just. No, I mean I don't know that situation. Okay. I don't know how long his procedure, the recovery. They said it was something in his neck. No, they said he had some procedure to take something out of his neck. That's all I know.
You are pretty right.
Yes, you're.
I just grew out.
Not full crowd. Okay, so we have overflow seating in the vestibule area. So it does have a TV screen. So if you don't like crowds, it's a little less crowded in front, and you're welcome to sit up there. The time is 6:24. So we'll start at 6:30. If you would like to speak, you're welcome to do so. Just you have to be signed up. So please do sign up if you would like to speak. Hey.
Amen.
A little housekeeping. So the parking lot, the FM 93.1 is not working again tonight. We were having some trouble with it interfering with the actual recording and sound of the live stream. So we had to disconnect that. So that is not in operation. I just crossed it out. But it is being streamed online at poetrytexas.org under meetings.
thrown out.
And you actually can't bring any more chairs in. Oh, yeah, they sit out there. We're set
Are we
up.
full?
I think we're on, our chairs are at capacity, are they not?
No, look, there's two empty ones over here,
Yeah,
so.
but I'm saying we can't add to it.
Can you take a head count? Please. Yeah, I know.
22, not counting us. And the
So 22 plus 6?
well,
That's 8.
7, 8, so that's 8, so
No, wait a minute. He's in a separate room.
that's
So-
29.
So, wait a minute. So in this room, there's 29.
If she sits back down, yes.
Okay. So does a kid count as a full?
yeah.
We got 28 and a half.
I didn't count. Just walked in. I didn't count the 3 that just came back in.
Okay.
That'd be 32.
Okay, so I hate to say it, but our room's at capacity, so we need a few people to sit up in the vestibule area.
They just walked out.
And it looks like we're getting some back and forth, so. Yes.
Now they're back.
Well, one's back. Had 3 leave.
Yeah.
One more minute. If you would like to speak, you have to be signed up to do so. You have 1 more minute. And Secretary Ann has the sign-up sheet.
Good evening, all you that slipped in, say hi. I'm glad I wore pants. Right, comical.
I think our clock is a little slow. Okay, the time is now 6:30 p.m. Welcome to our Poetry Town Council meeting for our beautiful town of Poetry, Texas on this Wednesday evening, March 27th, 2024. We welcome you and want you to feel heard, valued, informed, and connected to your town and its council. We welcome diversity of opinion and want minority views as well as majority views to be heard. We also appreciate mutual respect despite opposing views. Your opinions, suggestions, and comments in favor of or against a topic are welcome. However, this town council meeting is not the time to ask questions or for interrogations. We encourage anyone having questions or things that are off topic to come to talk to us at break or after the meeting, to email or schedule a meeting with us. The grandstanding that we've had on some of these occasions, we're not using these methods, so I encourage those citizens who have things that are off topic to follow state law. It is against state law to have things that are off topic. At this time, we need to remind the public that a disruption of this meeting may be considered a criminal offense according to Texas Penal Code 3813 and 4205. You must be signed up to speak during the meeting and stay on topic according to state law. To preserve the order and decorum of the meeting, any person who makes profane, slanderous, threatening remarks or becomes disruptive during the meeting will be asked to leave or may be escorted out by a peace officer and given a citation. At this time, our new Secretary Ian Hamilton will take roll call.
Simeon White,
Here.
Mike Jaffe,
Here.
Mayor Tara Sankovic. I'm still practicing how to pronounce that. Tom Anderson.
Here.
Jonathan Blake.
Here.
And Terry Fowler.
Here.
All are present.
Okay, roll call is, quorum is confirmed. Now, if you'll rise with me, as Councilmember Blake will lead us in the pledge and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we pause to thank you for all you provided us with. We ask you to bless us as we go through the town's agenda tonight and give us clarity of thought and clarity of speech and discernment.
We ask all this in your Son's name,
Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilmember Blake. Okay, under items of community interest, we do have the spring cleanup sponsored by the Town of Poetry. It's April 19th and 20th, so half a day on the 19th. And please grab a trash bag and clean up half a mile or so. We're trying to emphasize Poetry Road. It's very messy. So we also have free dumpsters for use for large disposable items. You can look at the handout for things that are acceptable or not. Just today, I received a notification that Kaufman County has declared a state of disaster regarding April 8th eclipse because it's caused significant traffic delays. Back in 2017, they were asking for federal funds to help mediate some of those delays. So all the hotels, apparently, RV parks are booked up, so just be aware that that is an issue. So. All right, under our consent agenda, we have minutes from January 18th, 2024. Do we have a motion to accept those?
Make a motion to accept it.
Okay, we have a motion by Anderson, seconded by Jaffe to accept the minutes from January 18th, 2024 meeting. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Okay, minutes from the February 15th, 2024 meeting.
Need a spelling correction on page 3, Town of Quinlan spelled wrong. Other than that, it's good.
The February, okay. Is there a motion to accept?
Motion to approve the spelling edits.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilmember Jaffe, seconded by White. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Okay, we have a February legal bill of $682.50.
Motion to accept and pay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake, seconded by White. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Okay, we have our TML insurance renewal, $812 for the annual fee.
I looked over it, Tara, and I didn't see anything. Is there anything anybody would call out that's changed, or is this exactly what we've had, just renewing?
Just renewing.
Okay. Thank you. Motion we accept.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Anderson, seconded by Blake. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. We have a QuickBooks renewal of $649. They've gone up on that. We're going to be kind of looking at that, but I wanted to go ahead and get approval just in case. We'll be looking at different options, but I can't say too much about it because it's on consent.
I make a motion we accept it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Anderson, second by Blake. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Okay, moving on to the regular agenda. We discuss and take action on allowing the volunteer team $3,000 to take care of any of the roads, CR 247, 248, 323, 324, Four Post Lane, Gate Lane, Green Meadow Lane, and Kaufman County portion of Poetry not completed by Kaufman County Roads Department.
There's a material that was provided in our packet relevant to this. This is showing that they did not do said work, or
So Attorney Berman told me to include this in the packet because he thought it would be better to have the citizens aware that, like, what's happened. And so because we thought we were going to get money back, and apparently, so I am taking that to, I've sent Judge Jakey Allen the information as well, and Deborah Bonnet, the Assistant Attorney General. I attended a meeting on Tuesday. Commissioner's Court, Commissioner Barber was not there because of a medical issue. We're going to be discussing some of that. So we're trying to get the money back, but we'll see. I don't know, obviously there was an error of some type. I don't know the particulars. He hasn't really communicated that, so I'm trying to get out, okay, what actually went on here. So it's still in limbo a little bit on that.
but we initially approved Kaufman doing this work. They did not do the work, and now we're coming back and asking that the road crew be
Yes, sir.
funded to do it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
By the way, Carl, you said Deborah Bond is Assistant Attorney General. She's actually Assistant District Attorney.
Did I say Attorney General? Okay, District, excuse me, my bad. Assistant DA, you're right, Assistant DA. Lots of titles. Okay, so as you know, on here, the volunteer team has, it is comprised of various people. They've done 2 days of road work using the town's funds and all the volunteer help. So they've been phenomenal, and actually have had some good feedback that they do a better job sometimes than the county.
So back to the Kaufman, is the expectation we're going to get some or all of this money back, or we don't know?
I don't know. It's kind of a big question mark. All I know is their auditor said this, and it's not correct, and so I'm not making accusations. I'm just saying it's just not accurate. Okay. So I don't know the whole picture, and so I'm just trying to figure that out with them.
Well, or at least put it back on account that we could use it in some other...
Right. Now, Commissioner Barber sent an Excel spreadsheet that he spent most of it on 249, but then also on 323. 323 wasn't on the project sheet, so I don't understand that. So if he spent and Aaron Conway 2 years prior has always been very spot on. Anything he gave us an estimate for was spot on. So when they say they've spent all $3,280 on just 2 roads, one of which was not on our project sheet, I don't understand that.
So what is $3,000, I guess Kevin would know, is it 2 loads or 1 load, or how much asphalt?
That's is what they speak. It's about 20. So that'd be 4 5-ton trailers, so 20 tons.
20 tons.
Okay, that's a lot.
That'll do some roads, get us through, hopefully, for a while. So, because the hard part is scheduling everybody. And then so getting the asphalt ready, because the Terrell plant was shut down I don't know if it's still shut down, but it's open again. So that was we had to go all the way to Sunnyvale to get it, and it's been kind of a real dance to try and get all those pieces together. So, thankful to all those who are helping with that. So.
Any citizen?
Okay, Dale Bryant.
I'll pass.
Glenn Strauss. David Emmerd. Okay. All right. That's all our citizen sign up for that.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion by Jaffe, seconded by Blake. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Item number 2, discuss changing CR road names to include names of poets and survey for such. So this was a couple citizens' request, over a year ago. So one suggested that we name, since our name is poetry, that we name our roads after poets. And then another one, I think Betty Ballard suggested that we go back to league line mode the way it was before the 911 system was in place, because the old timers, that's really important name to them. So it wasn't kind of an issue until we're gonna have to be buying like at least 20 new signs. So I thought before we do that, then let's just take a survey, see what, I don't have an opinion either way really. Let's just take a survey and see what the citizens want. We do have surveys tonight, so I thought we'd just do it for a good month and then see what we come back with. I didn't really want to spend a lot of time on it, but just kind of see what the will of the people is and just go from there. I've only got like 16 surveys, so that's not really even sufficient number. So,
Just out of curiosity, Tara, so at the beginning of this proposed survey, it says it was said when a tornado destroyed the town. Who said that?
that was in some of the history. So we have the historical sketch, and then I have the book.
Okay, because I went
Yeah.
back through Margaret's, I was kind of shaking my head, because I've been here a long time, and I'd never heard that from any of the old timers, so I was just kind of curious. I mean, in fact, Margaret says in her book, here's kind of 3 scenarios,
Yeah.
but nobody has any idea which one is correct.
Right. In the historical sketch, I believe it was, we had it read, I think. Do you remember reading some of that? And that was, I believe it was in that. It was in the sketch, historical sketch, yeah.
There is some debate about where the name poetry came from.
Well, there is in general, but I just had never heard about tornadoes. In fact, we have someone in the town that was in that school the night of the tornado that I spoke to the other night. He said they weren't reading anything to him.
Maybe it was afterward during the school, I don't know, but it is in the historical sketch, and so.
Okay.
That's an interesting tidbit there, but kind of off. All right.
I've received lots of emails and texts, I don't know if y'all have, but the main concern of the citizens is having to change all their personal,
The
the disruption of their life. Amy lost her driver's license. She had to get on a schedule to get a driver's license 2 months.
Oh,
so
my.
now we're going to ask however many residents, if we have in the city, a 2-month wait to get your driver's license. That's your Amazon, all your stuff that's saved, because we save everything on the computers now, all that has to be changed. So hearing the citizens, and I to agree, I don't want to change all my
Well, I worry about the
personal
lag in updating 911, so if
That's
they
a huge
dispatch a fire truck or an ambulance or something, it's gonna be some named road that's not in the system yet, because they didn't push out the update, and everybody knows these numbers and these names that are out here now, because they've settled into all the systems. Right, there's no update. And by the way, I would rather name them after tractor parts than poets, because if we want to keep the country, it needs to be named after,
So there's an opinion I haven't heard yet. Two items of feedback on this. Again, I have no opinion. I really don't. Either way, but one feedback was if people did have to redo their addresses, then they could go ahead and put Poetry Texas, and that might help us get more funding for sales of news. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was one kind of positive to that. If you had to redo your addresses, then you put Poetry Texas instead of Terrell, Texas, like most of them are. The other was, I think the feedback I'm getting on these is they like the league line road idea, but maybe not the poet idea as much. There are a few that are for the poet idea, but
None of the emails I've received are for changing anything, and I agree with them.
if you have emails, please print them off, and then we'll add it to our little survey, so we kind of at least have this, that we took a survey, had so many added to it. So please do fill out a survey. If you have an opinion, we're open to that. Again, I have no preference, actually.
Well, I guess I would say, I think legally it causes a lot of problems for legal documents.
It could.
Passports, everything, so birth certificates, everything.
So,
Let's just keep it simple, right? And I've only got feedback that was against it personally,
same
so I did talk to 911, and they said, because I asked them, I said, would it be better to do, like, say if we're going to change CR 249 to CR 249/league line, would it be better to have it combined like that, or one or the other? And they said, no, one is better. That was 911. So, what do I know?
we have enough necessary things that we have to do that people don't like. I wouldn't put one that's unnecessary.
So again, this was just something before there are a number of signs that do need to be replaced, so I thought before we invest in that, we just kind of need to solve this issue. So Dale Bryant?
Pass.
Okay, Glenn Strauss, Scott Leahy, is that correct, Scott Leahy? Leahy, okay.
Scott Leahy, County Road 2426. I would just like to echo what I think everybody said, the 911 disruption, the legal document disruption, the Amazon online account disruption. I do not think this is core to the operation of the town, and I do not think we should move forward on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Rachel, I don't know how to pronounce it. Fossler? Okay, Fossler, go ahead.
Say what my address is?
No.
Just general,
Okay.
like,
All right, I just wanted to say that my son has an anaphylactic allergy, and so we already have trouble getting his medication when we put poetry, so we have to put Terrell still. And so that plus the 911 is just something that's really concerning to me, and I think with a lot of retired people in the community, they probably have the same concerns of if they need an ambulance or medications is a really big one for us, so.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. That's an important point, thank you. Okay, so, is this dead on arrival?
Item 3.
So,
No, because I'm check.
Yeah.
I mean, do we even want to continue with the survey?
Are we just gonna hand it out in the room, or we gotta mail it out?
Well, it's actually over here. I think we can come back, I mean, next month will be the time and we'll get those signs approved so we can still say how many total, so that those people who are for it will feel at least validated, so.
Well, but
You
we're not
know.
gonna spend money on it, right? We can just put it on the website as a pop-up or something if you wanna weigh in and...
Yeah, it's, but, yeah, I think it's, well, it may not be on the pop-up.
Let's not
Yeah,
waste
we
any
can do it.
postage or anything.
No, it can be a pop-up,
Like an
and then
info.
we have it here tonight, so if you feel one way or another, please do fill those out, and then we have done our due diligence and found out what the people want. So, all right. We'll just move on then. Number 3, discuss and take action on a street dynamic solar-powered speed and communication device for roadways to collect data desired for grant applications for roadwork according to price sheets provided. So I did talk with Stephen Barlag, who was the fellow that was here presenting a few meetings ago. He said there is no capability for video. That was a question that came up. He said there is no capability for video on that, on this device. So, and then I think someone else was finding out, you had some other information, didn't
Well,
you?
you tried to find alternatives, I think.
yeah, I sent you all, I sent you a letter that you had the secretary send out, but basically, this is the only option that I think meets our sign criteria and our funding. You can get traffic devices that will gather data, but that's not a sign, so I'm not sure we could pay for it. And you could add signs to it, but that's an option. And there are radar signs that give you the speed, but they don't gather traffic data. And I guess a side note, a lot of those companies aren't in America. This one's at least American-based and local. It's in Texas.
So for those who maybe aren't aware of the sign we're looking at is so that we can get data that will help us in grants. And I did talk further with Alan. He said that there are between 1 and 4 grants in any given year. In a year where there's a lot of weather events or disaster events, it can go up to 7 or 8. So it's not just for this one that he might be looking into us for poetry. It would allow us data for not only this year, and he said it's really better to have data for a year, not just a few months. But he said if you get it, then we'll include at least a month of data for this one that he's currently working on, but then it rolls around. And they all have different parameters. And so, as he so eloquently put before, and I think one other thing, I think, Simeon, was it you that said that the research on the, instead of putting the speed, was it you told me, instead of putting the speed limit, where people just want to break the speed limit, that if they put a smiley face for those who are going the speed limit, and then if they go above the speed limit, so maybe, I'm thinking of Poetry Road, 249, so if you smiley face until you go past 40 or something, and then it gives you a frown. And people, that actually detoured people more than anything else, is what the research was showing.
I think it should have a wagging finger.
And meanwhile, it would provide us information on, the size of the vehicles, how fast they're going, whether they're passing through, if we have one on each end. So it could give significant data that would help us in some of these state grants that we're looking at, maybe in federal grants.
Well, I don't drive 249. I avoid it for a reason. So I'd be interested in hearing from the citizens what they think, because to me, that's, if we're going to put it anywhere, it would be there so that we can see what the flow-through traffic is and what the speeds are, and get it calmed down on the citizens that live on that road, because that's what I hear from them. But I'd really like to hear it again.
Okay. We have 3 citizens who've signed up. Del Bryant. Okay, Glenn Strauss.
Glenn Strauss, 11072 County Road 2454, and I live the city block off of Poetry Road. And in my opinion, it should be a farm-to-market road, because it gets an enormous amount of traffic and is one of the main cut-throughs from I-20 to I-30, and then on south of there, so.
Thank you, Glenn. Scott Leahy.
Scott Leahy, County Road 2426. All I would have to say is to encourage, I'm a little ignorant on the dollars and cents of this topic. Obviously, we can get a grant. How much is that? What are the odds of getting it versus how much is it going to cost to have this device, to whatever device is chosen, to collect the data for a year? There's a cost analysis that ought to be done on that, and weighed in on that. What are the odds of receiving a grant? Before the money is spent, we ought to have a fair idea that we are going to get something on the back end of that for it. So, thank you.
Good point, Scott. We have discussed at length. This is like the 3rd time it's been on our agenda. So the grant that Alan Donnan is working on now is $1.2 million. So the cost on this machine without the without the relay is $3,200 per each. So if you had one on each end of the road, then it would give us the data of who is passing through versus who is not. So it does have a good return on investment, I think. And then we did research whether the TML insurance would cover this device. At first they said yes, and they said, well, send us a picture. So I sent them a picture, and they said, oh yeah, it'd be $5 a year upcharge. So I'm like, well, okay. So.
I guess I had a question. I'm sorry, I don't remember. What was the grant to do? What was it to provide a grant?
Well, he was going for the gusto. He was trying to get every road in Poetry refurbished, but...
refurbished road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so one of the things he said, Tom, that I remembered was that we could redo every road in Poetry for $1.5 million, which I took exception with. I mean, I don't think that would redo one long stretch of road, let alone every road.
Well, I guess I would agree. You might put asphalt on it, but most of the roads need some subsurface work. That would be more expensive.
I was surprised to hear him say that as well. I think an engineer would have to tell us that, I think.
Well, I'm not picking on him. I think the number would be, tens of millions. I don't think it's going to be $1 million. I don't think $1 million would go very far.
I do know we have a preliminary quote I got was for a half a mile, $100,000 or something, $150,000.
And is that to grind it up and resurface it?
To do it all. But again, we'll need to engineer. And of course, 2.5 years ago, Kaufman County, Aaron Conway told me, this is before, all the petroleum issues and, that it was $75,000 to do a double chip seal with concrete base, but $75,000 per mile. But it's not that anymore. So that was almost 3 years ago. So
With a concrete base?
with a concrete crushed base. So concrete crushed base with a double chip seal. So I think that's where we need our engineer to kind of tell us some and then getting some different, quotes, but we can talk about that later. We're gonna have that on the future agenda.
Well, I would go back to what Scott said, and it's a concern I share, is just, what I heard the gentleman say when he was talking about the grants, one of the things he said, and then he sort of tried to explain it a little better, was that one of the requirements of the grant was that the town be levying a property tax. And we don't levy a property tax, and I'm just imagining that the way the state might view it is, listen, you need to be making a reasonable effort to get money to take care of your town. We're not going to just give you free money, and I'm making that up, but I'm just imagining that could be a scenario. And so it's back to, what are the odds? I mean, I like the gadget. The gadget's cool, but I think to connect it to, and we're going to get money, I mean, I think it's a little bit of I don't think it's a certain outcome that we're going to get the money. I think it's a good thing. We need to get into the process and start doing this, and we should be applying like every year, because eventually we will, get a winning ticket, but...
Yeah, we'll get a winning ticket. So on that, I agree with you. On this particular one, we may not, but again, there's like up to 4 in a regular year, up to 7 or 8 in a tragic weather event year. But then also, additionally, just recently, I sent a couple of you, because I can only send 2, right? After talking with the mayor of Scurry and the city administrator there, they've been able in 10 years to redo all of their roads in Scurry. So I was like, how did you do that? And so they sent me the block grant information. And so that's another one that is possibly available. So just because maybe this one isn't in the mix necessarily, there's many others. So I think...
Well, I don't disagree.
Do they have some kind of traffic recording device, or they just applied for grants? Is there a coordination between the two?
I asked the mayor, so I was talking to the city administrator. She wasn't sure of all the particulars, because I was like, hey, I want to plug you for information. And the mayor was real busy, and I didn't get to talk with him a second time to ask some of these particulars, but I am in the process of trying to get more information on that.
What was the guy's name that presented the stalker stuff to us?
Stephen Barlag.
So one of the concerns of the citizens last time was maybe the lack of control of the data that it collects and where it goes. Did anybody follow up with him on that? Because I think it was tabled maybe by you for contract purposes, and I think that was the contract.
Yeah, I wanted to do research to see if there was other options. That was the other thing I wanted to do.
I think it was research and contract, if I remember right, because one of the citizens, I guess, had read online something we didn't have in front of us.
Yeah.
So in talking with Stephen further, I said there was that concern, and he said, well, just do where it's on the unit itself, where it does not spread via internet. And then you're more protected, actually. So.
And then they're going to guarantee the guardianship of that data at that point?
Well, it's
not connected to the internet.
It's not connected to the internet.
Which is something we discussed anyways, because it's an extra fee to do it online, as opposed to just driving up and doing it manually with a USB.
Yeah.
And we can talk about the contract too, just make sure, or the price, but who's going to do the work? How long is it going to sit, where it's going to sit? Who's going to retrieve the data? Push the data to the vendor, all that. What's that look like? Because if you have a product, but you don't have the mechanism to use it, so what's that look like?
He did say, this last time I talked with him, he said he would come out and train somebody, that he would help us set it up, he would do all that.
So we can get a volunteer.
Yeah, I thought that was good. So maybe we have a couple of council members who are trained in that. But to put a USB in, I don't know, like if we want to gather it after a month or maybe after a few months.
If I may, on your agenda for the 15th of February is when we discussed all this, so if you wanted to refer back to that, you should have it in your packet in front of you.
The minutes?
Yes,
okay.
Under, it looks like it was agenda item 1, after the 5-minute recess. And then after that, Mr. Don spoke about it as well.
Thank you.
What a coincidence.
We've been here before.
Just to refresh everybody's memory.
Terry, were you, not to put words in your mouth, but were you headed in the direction of you'd like to see more of a plan?
Well,
Or what would calm you?
I don't know calm, but I don't know. I'm just trying to put all the pieces together because I need to read this. But I mean, that was one of the concerns. But for some reason, I thought that someone said, yeah, we need to check on that. Because that's a big concern in today's time is guardianship of that information. If the council's quite certain that the physical guardianship and not being web-based is adequate, well, then that kind of answers that question.
It'll be better than your iPhone. I'll tell you that.
And again, if I may, sorry, if we did it without it being web-based, it was cheaper, we didn't have to pay for the subscription, then we would physically go to the machine and collect the data, then it's never on the internet, so it's proprietary to us only. So nobody else then would have access to it.
Yeah, so the next to last bullet point, council requested more information from Street Dynamics, such as a reference, a sample contract with the terms, and to research other options. So the research of other options with a sample contract, I think was, and maybe I was misspeaking earlier, maybe it was a contract issue that the citizen had spoke about. And I didn't go look for it because, I don't know, for some reason I thought someone said, yeah, we'll just get a contract from them and look at it, but.
He gave a big packet of information, I guess. Did you see any sample contract in that?
No, and I think the citizen that spoke on it said it was online, is where they had found it.
Did you see a contract that you thought was feasible?
Technology contracts are not my forte, I'll tell you that.
What if we approved pending our attorney looking over the contract?
Yeah, I mean, that still doesn't give me heartburn. Is everybody comfortable with the quote and we understand what we're getting? I mean, is this pedestal mount?
There's no mounts.
Okay, so it's the bracket that he talked about.
It's the bracket.
That can be mounted on different style posts.
Yes, as far as that's what I understand it to be.
And that was one of the concerns I know we can get past, like, are we gonna do a breakaway sign, or are we just gonna use a county road sign?
He's mentioned putting it on electric pole, and I, depending on which county it is, I can contact, and we've done that before, contact them, and they have allowed us to put things on poles, or come up with our own metal pole.
Yeah, I think before we go there, Terry, my question to the group would be just whether this is something we want to get involved in right now, and is it a priority for the town? I don't know. I mean, it's not a huge amount of money, but compared to 20 tons of asphalt to fix some roads and other things.
What's our current status on our sales and use tax account for roads?
It's right at close, it's $88,000 right now.
So if I read that right, that's what we've received since inception is $88,000. So all these other funds we've been buying the rock and stuff with, the donations, we hadn't spent any money out of our roads?
We had money for potholes that was a little bit separate from that.
It's separate.
So and I would have to look, we can look at the Q2, Q2's coming up, so.
And to Mike's point, I think my biggest concern is yes, we do have a new elected county commissioner coming. I mean, should we be kind of storing up right now, maybe look at this we got a new budget coming pretty soon, so we can dump some real money on 249, because to the people that are calling Blake and me as well are really concerned, and I think it's going to take a lot of material, because we pay for material, right? They provide labor and equipment.
In Hunt County?
Kaufman County.
Well, Kaufman County's contract a little different, but that's a little bit off.
Well, just to prepare for how much we may have to spend to get that road back in a decent.
Well, again, I think the engineer would have to give us, but again, that's not the topic at hand. Exactly. I mean, I get where you're going, but.
I mean, I gotta kind of know where I'm spending the money from.
I'd kind of like, if we get to the point where we hire an engineer, be able to ask them, is this a useful tool for us, period?
Well, we're kind of putting something ahead of them.
Yeah.
They may say, I wish you hadn't bought that.
Yeah, because they may have a way of doing that since they're our engineers. I don't know if they do surveys like that or not, and what would they charge for it? We can't really ask.
I haven't seen anything from the engineer that led me to believe that they had anything like this.
Well, but I guess the
But-
overall view or opinion of engineer would be useful, because they deal with things like this for other counties, so they may be able to say, look, such and such county handled it this way, which may be a better or different option. So I guess I agree with Jonathan, is that we've hired an engineer, why don't we ask their opinion?
And if we can follow up with Scurry too, to find out, maybe they didn't need another application to get those, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So anyway, but I think.
To get the grant, he said that they had to match $12,500, and then they were able to get like $100,000.
Well, we do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so that sounded really good, the return on that one sounded really good. So are you wanting to maybe consult with the engineering firm on this? Is that what you're thinking?
I would like to ask them if we get that done. It's because I don't want to buy something that's going to sit over in the corner over here.
They deal with a lot of different counties.
Yeah.
Or cities, so they should have a better view of what works, what doesn't work. It would be worth, I think, shouldn't be cost much money just to get their opinion. They don't have to do an engineering analysis, just give their opinion.
Yeah. And I know they've done that because they gave us a nice printout of where they evaluated roads, so I would think they would have knowledge of it.
Yeah.
So,
More than us.
one point is that if we own the equipment, then there would just be a warranty on it, maybe not necessarily a contract. I don't know.
Well, I'm
But I know
not
that
against
our
it, but
council is very prudent with finances, which is
I would rather
good.
wait.
But if you want to wait and get more information from,
Yeah, I think the engineers would be a good place, and then if you don't mind following up with Scurry and just see
Sure.
if they had something else that supported their request for
Sure.
grants.
And get a contract to Attorney Bowman and then have him go over
A
it.
sample
if
contract.
they, or warranty, whatever it is they have. Okay, let me make myself a note.
I think it's a wise investment eventually, but yeah, no rush.
The only contract they have online is for their customer service agreement if you choose to have the internet. That's the only thing.
The only one.
Well, it may be more like Ts and Cs, terms and conditions or something, whatever it is.
Warranty, I mean,
Whatever.
yeah.
Do we need to put a cage on the USB, something locked or something? All right, well, moving on to number 4 then. Discuss and take action on professional engineering services agreement with Burkhoff, Hendricks & Carter, LLP, Hendricks Engineering.
Did we have citizen input on
We already,
the signs?
I thought we already just,
Did we talk about the signs?
Thank you.
I apologize. Okay, Del Bryant, did you want to?
Pass.
Okay, Glenn Strauss, Scott Leahy.
Are we still on number 3?
We are number 3. I
Right.
thought we already did. Okay, thank you. I'm like, I thought we did. Okay. All right, so going on to, so we have this engineering professional. Now, we approved this firm for the RFQ, but now they have the professional engineering services agreement, and so if the council approves that, then we can sign off on it, and then they have also the cost here. So they have, on the very amendments, they showed their liability, they have up to $3 million per incident, they give the scope of services, what their work is, they do surveying, they do mapping, they do engineering reports for roads. They did give a pro bono for the dead tree issues, so they gave a report on that, but we'll talk about that next month. But that was kind of nice that they were willing to do that pro bono. I did see their mileage is 68, well, it's IRS established rate, which currently is 68 cents per mile. I don't know how far they are, but so their rates were actually more than our attorney on some of them. But the RPLS rate, the registered, it's $300 an hour. The survey crew is $195 an hour. They do have an engineering intern that's $95 an hour. And then their wages are based upon the years they've been in the experience, which I guess that's
So, Tara, did this contract, or did this come from them and then we approved? Okay.
Vernon did approve it.
Okay.
He said there's a few little things that he would do differently, but he said it's perfectly fine.
Can you tell us what things he was,
He did not specify.
Well, I guess the one point I would have, they refer, the very first paragraph says here and referred to as engineer. Actually, it should be engineer or consultant, because they refer to consultant, and it's not defined.
Okay. The only other addition, or the thing that I thought would be good to change on here was when they email the mayor, Tara, I think they should also email secretary@poetrytexas.org. That's just a slight little amendment, so that she has a copy of that as well. But other than that, it looked pretty straightforward.
I don't see his name on here. They gave us a certificate of interested parties. I spoke to Justin the other day, and you might have spoke to him.
Justin Ivy.
And he's not on here, but while I had him on the phone talking about the tree, I asked him, I said, how does this work? Who gets assigned the work? And he said they kind of have an internal system that would specify if it's something that's low-hanging fruit, they're going to give it to the EIT1, and start building that confidence level. So we're not always charged at the highest rate. They're our advocate at the end of the day and trying to work on the cheapest deal. And I did ask him about the roads deal. I'm like, if we need a report on roads, what's that look like? He said, of course, we'll have to discuss that, but we're going to discuss some kind of threshold, like if we assign them a project, either we assign that threshold or we assign them a project and they come back to the project cost to approve.
some kind of an estimate, and then we check in at certain points.
He said for each project, they'll have a project cost.
Yeah. Besides a small task driven, if you're giving them like a geographical area, that might be a project cost versus a task. Can you tell us about this culvert? Well, that's just going to be charged at a single task style.
Well, we probably, when we start getting involved in this, need to assign, I would recommend a council member to sort of be in charge of whatever that task was, to be that person that's communicating with them and keeping track and reporting back to the council.
And I think it's prudent that you just ask them for an estimate with hours and with rates. And then when you ask for the rates, that would show which ones they were using for that. And so then we would have at least something up front to approve. And turned out there was another issue, then they would have, that they came across, they would have to come back and raise it with us. So as long as we had some way like that to ask them for each one, and I thought it was spelled out like that they had to come to us for.
Well, write it in such a way that there's a not to exceed number, right? They're approved for a certain amount not to exceed. And if it gets close to that, they need to come back to us. We need to have a
But I have to
conversation.
look and see. I thought I read that in here somewhere, that there is something about that.
It's right here on page 8, invoicing terms. Invoices will be prepared monthly for approved work completed in the prior month. Each invoice will include the task number, task description, and the not to exceed task amount.
There you go.
Along with itemized accounting of each engaged personnel's time, billing rate, and total amount billed. Itemized billing backup will include providing a log of each engaged personnel's task effort on a daily basis. A generalized progress report will accompany each task item shown on the invoice. Now, when I did ask him, when I told him we were going to discuss it at the meeting, I said, hey, do you guys negotiate at all? And they gave me this very professional response that we have the most excellent staff, and to keep the excellent staff, we have to assure them a certain salary level. So the answer was no.
Well, and I would encourage us further down the road when let's make the first engagement be a small one. Let's not give them $1 million contract out of the box. I'd do something that's a little bit smaller so we can work out the wrinkles. And we'll kind of go from there.
That's reasonable.
All right, we have citizens Dale Bryant. Okay, and Glenn Strauss. Okay, that's all who've signed up to speak on this item.
Motion to approve of the edits.
Second.
Are we comfortable on the edits? Do we know what they are?
I think on page 1 it was engineer or consultant, and then
Quote, because it
quote.
does refer to consultant later on.
Okay, was there any other?
I didn't have any other.
You
So the email,
add the
so those two
secretary.
edits.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion by Jaffe, seconded by
Blake.
Blake. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously.
To follow up on that, are we now obligated to fill out this conflict of interest questionnaire?
Was that us or them?
I think that was them.
That's good.
Yeah.
They're just providing it to us,
Even
saying they
though-
don't see any. Okay.
If they were providing services, I think, to a neighboring town, then there might be a conflict.
To the counties.
Or to the counties, but apparently there is none, and that's just a full release of information there. Okay, number 5. Moving on, number 5. Discuss and take action on the David Potts petition for release from the ETJ.
I didn't see anything.
Looks fine.
Do we have?
Yep.
We do have some citizens. Was there any other comment by council?
Well, we said at our meeting a week ago, and I don't know if it was Berman that said it or us, but that there's an expectation by the time the council received these, they've been reviewed for accuracy and detail and other things. So we look at them, right? We read them. I know I do, and I'm sure you guys do. And yes, it all looks good. It looks very similar to the ones we've seen in the past. The numbers are right. But is that accurate, Tara, that someone, you and attorney, somebody's looking at them just to kind of make sure that there's nothing in there that we're missing?
I send them to Attorney Berman. I don't typically see a response. But again, one of the things that we will need to do is send it off to the certified surveyor, because I'm not that. And so, I guess unless a professional surveyor looks at it, we don't know.
Okay. Well, I just want to clarify, I was a little surprised, because I know we did our cost breakdown, and we're going to discuss that later, but I just wasn't sure. I felt like more of the burden was on the council for us to catch things, like we did the first few, and say, that number doesn't add up, or that doesn't look right, or whatever.
But the number that have come across our emails is getting so many that it's hard to.
I spent all morning.
Well, the good news, they look very similar, so that's helpful. I mean, I can read them quicker, because
Right, but the numbers
When they have
themselves
14
are
pieces
not
of land.
It's easy for us to check.
right.
Okay, we do have some citizens that signed up. Dale Bryant,
I'll pass.
Glenn Strauss, Shelley Smith.
Pass.
Patrick Smith.
Pass.
David Emmer.
Pass.
Scott Leahy.
Scott Leahy, County Road 2426. I just wanted to make the comment that I'm glad to hear the council is judging these applications for their legality. And I would like to say out loud to everybody at this table that it is not an application based upon merit. It is based upon legality. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Chad West.
I'll pass.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on the David Potts petition?
Motion to accept it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake, seconded by, I think, Anderson. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Number 6,
I didn't see anything wrong with this one either.
discuss and take action on the Ryan Scott petition.
Fine. Citizen comment?
Okay, unless council has further comments, Dale Bryant,
Pass.
Glenn Strauss, Chad West,
I'll pass.
Shelley Smith, Patrick Smith, Chad West. Okay, David Emmer. Okay.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake, seconded by Anderson, to accept the petition for release by the Ryan Scott. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Number 7, discuss and take action on the Darrell Scott petition for release from the ETJ.
Again, looks fine to me.
And I haven't heard anything negative from the attorney, so no news is good news, is at least from...
With that being said, does that mean that he agrees with the less than accept method of these that we've kind of gone by?
He hasn't said he doesn't.
He hasn't ever said anything that, yeah. So,
Nothing to the contrary.
but
And that
we-
kind of sealed it for me when I finally saw that in there.
But what he did say, that he's not a surveyor, and the surveyor would need to look over
Oh,
every
yeah.
one of these. He said that in the last meeting.
The survey part, I can't tell you about.
That's what he
Yeah,
said.
but I think that's the clause, right, it's less than accept. So
Yeah,
if ever we prove that what you said was not true, well, that's the accept, and we're
Yeah.
taking that
Yeah.
into whatever.
And we don't want to include someone else, the neighbor's land, or, you know, have
Yeah.
some sort of error, so that's, you know, why we recognize
cleaned
that
up.
the
mean-
surveyor would need to double check all that. Okay. Daryl Scott? Okay, Dale Bryant? Is anyone cold?
Yes.
Okay. Let's turn that down, please. Turn it down, because it was really crowded.
Dale Bryant, 11139 County Road 2464. Yeah, the lesson accept, the only reason why we have to do the lesson accept, because the limited data from the town. That's all we can do. So, but generally, at least in surveys, the lesson accept is a valid form of a survey. When anything is changed, you take the survey you have, lesson accept what you're selling or trading or whatever, and that's acceptable. So you'll know.
thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Okay, Glenn Strauss? Pass. Shelley Smith? Patrick Smith? Chad West? David Emmerd? Okay.
Motion to accept.
Are you guys saying less and accept, like LESS?
Yes.
She's new, she's learning.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of these terms, so thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion by Blake, is that right?
And
And
second.
second by Anderson, all those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Okay, number 8, discuss and take action on modifying the fee for petition for release from ETJ with single and multiple applications with new information and considering adjusting payments. This was put forth by Councilmember White and Councilmember Blake. We, of course, now that we've just now voted in the surveying company, or their engineering with surveying company, we haven't surveyed any of these. So we'll probably have to go back and all the ones, I'm assuming, all of the ones that we've accepted to this date will need to be double checked. And after talking to Justin Ivy and Mr. Hendricks on that, they said 15 to 30 minutes for each. So I just received a petition that had 14 surveys. That's $1,100 at this rate, just from the surveyor. That doesn't count the legal secretary, any of that. So at that rate, that is not something that was accounted for in our budget that the council approved. So that's concerning. And we're not trying to make a profit, but we don't want to go outside of our means of our budget either. So on these. And it is an elected thing. It's not something that is for not everyone has to do it. It's something that's an elected thing. So we've had some feedback that the entire town's people shouldn't pay for something that's an elected thing. So, did you fellas have anything?
Well, this was brought kind of to light because one of the citizens had 3 petitions come in and they were charged 3 times, which was the way we wrote it. And at the time, we weren't trying to have it that way. We just wanted to cover cost.
Did 3 petitions or 3 surveys?
Well, no, we wrote it, so much per petition.
Right. Okay, I wrote in 3 petitions.
So they got charged 3 times. Okay. And that wasn't our intent, but it also got us to thinking that we can't just fix that. We got to fix it going forward because of what's happening. It's not in our budget to do these things. Of course we didn't know, because we didn't know what that law was going to do to us. So,
Right, and besides,
And that is what is the survey going to require? You said 15 to 30 minutes. That's not somebody coming out with a tripod, it's, right?
No,
I think they're doing it on a computer. I think there's.
we're just going over.
Okay, so I guess I would like to see what the engineering costs are before we decide, what is it we're going to combine and take away. We don't know that, what it will take, even if it's 15, 20 minutes or 30 minutes on a computer.
Well, even if it's 15 to 30 minutes, so that's $48 to $98, so that's $73 on average. I just took the middle. So $73 on average for for the surveyor to look over each survey. And if you have 14 surveys, I mean, that adds up. And so I feel like the way that our fee structure is just flat $125, but I think it should probably be amended to say, okay, our flat fee, and, we know more now. This is after 19 of them. When we first did this, we had just a few. We didn't really know all the costs involved. Now we know more, okay, it takes deposit, the CAD verification by the secretary, the redaction, the copying, 11.4 pages on average, depositing the check, letter of verification sent out, materials cost, the legal cost of, Vermin said it's $45, the mapping cost. So there are some costs involved, and that's not even including the time, the minutes from the secretary having to do all those in the packet, like assembling the packet. So you add that, it's another 17 minutes, it's not even on here. So, I mean, like next month, we have 15 to 20 of them in the works. So that packet's gonna be 300 pages. And so I feel like if we wanna minimize our costs, maybe we wanna have a couple council members look over these, and if they're pretty good, we think that they pass muster as far as we can ascertain, then maybe we just say, if there's a problem, let's bring it to council meeting, but if there's not a problem, then maybe we have something I'm trying to think of different ways to help with our costs, because I don't want to charge the citizens more than we absolutely have to, but we do know that our $125 is not sufficient.
Does that meet the attorney's criteria for having us look it over if just two council members are looking over it?
He was fine with that. So he was saying, the way the current law is written is if you just let it pass in 45 days, it automatically becomes valid. So we're looking at it, and so I feel like if we want to reduce some of our costs, we could have a couple council members look over it if we, like we have been, okay? And then if there's a problem, we bring it to council. But if there's not a problem, then we just let it pass through the 45-day mark. We send them the letter. Yes, you've been approved because of, it as far as and then we have the surveyor look at it. Again, that's another $73 on average, according to what the surveyor told me.
And that saves us just time here, basically, and packets and stuff. But they're still going to have to pay for the mapping and the attorney to look at it and the survey people
So
to
if
look
someone
at it.
has one petition, but they have maybe 14 surveys, that's, that I don't think the townspeople, all of the townspeople should necessarily pay for that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
We already established that. And we do need to fix
But all the
this number.
townspeople pay for the annexations.
What annexations?
There's expenses to the annexation that we approved.
I know that, we had one little one.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
when we're looking at,
Now, I will tell you, I talked to Mayor Craig of Union Valley, he said anytime they have an annexation or de-annexation he said if we have these, we're gonna charge, they have to get their own survey. It's on them, a new survey.
so just working through this worksheet that you typed up, if it's going to this extreme, why is there a CAD verification?
That's just, Teresa Gowen, she said she did this. She just wanted to make sure that the numbers that they provided were the ones on the actual CAD map. It doesn't take her that long, but it is part of
But
the
that won't
process.
apply to a survey.
I'm not saying it's a survey.
I'm saying we're going to the surveyor route, so the verification of the CAD map's not important.
Yeah, it's not, but she said she's real fast at it because the CAD map is pretty good.
We're trying
but
to
that's-
reduce minutes
yeah.
though, because some of the secretarial duties, regardless of what the town decides, some of these are cost of being in business, cost of being a town. Depositing checks, I mean, that's a cost of doing business. It doesn't have to be deposited this week, we can wait a month.
Recognize, though, that we don't go to the bank very often. These have caused us to have to do that. So it's outside the norm of what we've had. So it is something different.
Are we going to amend the number of hours we can have her work if we're not paying her to do this extra work?
Well, I'm trying to specify that we can reduce minutes by things that we don't necessarily need.
But right now,
Food deposits, CAD verifications.
Well, if we get a safe, I don't know if I really like somebody's personal information left here.
We do,
I know it has
the
to.
criteria of being able to lock it up behind
Door, that's enough.
What about mapping? Is that a 1 hour rate mapping?
1 hour rate.
So it takes 1 hour to remove?
Well, we haven't mapped any of them because we've had so many coming in, and like this last Thursday, she came in because she was sick on Thursday, had that reaction.
Monday.
So she came in on, was it Monday? And the entire 5 hours, she was doing nothing but ETJ removals, the entire time.
And I'm pretty sure that's being charged like the attorney fee, where it's really per job, not so much per hour. So whether it takes her, half or two, it's all the same.
Well, and at the risk of poking the bear, I'm looking at the legal bill we just approved, and there's nothing on here for petitions, so either he's not looking at them or he's not charging us, because I know we had some in February.
We need to ask about that.
I just want to make sure, because the questions I'm getting asked by people is, are we actually incurring these costs? Or is this, and I know you said it's not, I'm not bringing it back up, but or is this some sort of a punitive thing? And I don't think that's the intent. We're just trying to make sure we cover it. But, I would argue too, these citizens, whether they pull their property out or not, are still paying fees to the town. They're still paying franchise fees, they're still paying sales tax. I mean, they're still contributing to the town.
Are they? I mean, some are, some aren't.
Well, some of the ETA roosters, they're not even in the town, so
They're not at all.
they're not contributing
paying
anything.
Yeah, there's
Right,
several who aren't.
but we're not clear that the comptroller, I'm not clear on how the business has decided to be in the town or how they decide to get money from them or not, or Amazon, so I'm not convinced that people that are 100% in the ETJ are not paying part of the tax, the sales tax.
Well, again, they're very familiar with this kind of setup. And, I don't like to second guess the experts.
No, but I understand, but it's hard to believe that it's only that 300-foot stretch that they're collecting tax dollars from, if your house is back further or whatever, so I don't know that.
Well, and I guess we would have to hear from someone in the ETJ if they were charged the 1.5% tax or not.
Yeah, well,
They
that's
may or may-
completely in the ETJ.
Right, and there are some who are completely in the ETJ who are filling out petitions. So again, there are some who are not paying a dime to the town.
Well, those are the things I'm being challenged on, so I don't know if you're right.
Sure,
But
yeah,
I do notice, just coincidentally, we got the invoice in front of us, we just approved it, there's not a single petition reference on here unless I'm reading it wrong.
No, I didn't see it there either.
So, and I don't think he's like our last firm that stores things up and hits us at the end of the year with a huge bill, so I'm guessing this puts us even at the end of February, so.
Good question, too.
Yeah.
So just out of total transparency, and y'all have data that you didn't have before you make your decision. So 20 cities responded to a request that they charge a fee. There's nothing hidden. I've reached out to more than 20 cities. 20 responded. Terrell, Quinlan, Rockwall, Kaufman, Crandall, Scurry, Wills Point, Forney, Edgewood, Oak Ridge, Cottonwood, Union Valley, Fruitvale, Wolf City, Emory, Cattle Mills, Levant, Farmersville, Princeton, Josephine. 20 no's.
Do they have property taxes?
Yeah.
I'm just giving you information
Well, a lot
that
of
you do
them
not
do.
have.
Okay,
Well,
but here's
I'm
the
asking
other
a question.
thing is, poetry has,
Pull that information.
like the attorney said, we have exponentially more of these than any other city in the state. Any in the state. So he said, Terrell, I saw on their website, they have at least like maybe 20 or something, but Union Valley has had 0. Union Valley has a 0. He goes, well, we would just ask him to do a whole new survey. That's what he told me. Now, I don't know if his board will, or his council will agree, but that's what he told me. So they haven't had any. And I talked to other mayors, they haven't had any. So I guess it hasn't come upon them. So,
Well, it's a much bigger burden for us, no doubt, but honestly, I'd encourage those cities to do it because public money should be used for public services, not for private. And it should be accessible to the public and for the whole public's good, so it's probably not so big a deal that they think it's worth it.
What do you, for my clarification, what are you calling private? Are you calling it
Individual.
this is a private advantage.
It's private.
Yeah, this
It's
is a
one
private
property.
personal advantage.
Like fixing a private road or the tree thing where we can't help people with their private properties under the
If it
same
benefits one
principles.
citizen, then we're calling it private.
That's
It's not,
private to that
it's not for
person.
the whole. It's not something that benefits the whole. It's something that is
So you
an
think the state
individual.
legislators got it wrong?
I think even the federal gets it wrong quite often. Maybe I have different thoughts about government in general, but I'm not for for a handout government in most regards. I know there's disagreement on that, but that's just the way I view it.
So what does this look like moving forward if it's voted one way or the other? Current charge, which is set, and then there will be fees assessed later before the petition is approved? Or, so if we don't know exactly, we're guessing at a survey costing $48 to $98, how's that petitioner charged?
Well, because that's what he said, I have on the
I mean, are they
average.
charged 48 or they charge 98?
Well, that's why I just took an average, because there's no way to really do that except for an average. So $73 on average. So I was gonna say, you know, if, say a petition comes in and there's one petition, but it has 10 different surveys, well, they're gonna have to, that surveyor, that, you know, we're not making them get a whole new survey like Mayor Craig was saying, but we do have to, you know, there's costs that are incurred, and that we want to make sure we do our due diligence. He said on average, it's $73. So in my mind, it's a flat fee plus whatever survey costs. And that's cheap compared to, if you have to get a whole new survey, that can be anywhere from $500 to thousands of dollars. So, I mean,
This is going to be closer than what we have right now. We might have to adjust it again once we get some hard and fast numbers, and maybe 15 minutes, the average, maybe 30 minutes is closer to the average. We'll just have to adjust based off that.
Well, but again, if legal isn't charging, then we need to drop that. It's
Well,
not close.
but he's not, I don't know that we can say that definitively.
Well, we're
That's what he
telling
told me.
citizens that all we're doing is recovering our costs, but that's not a cost, so.
Well, he did say it was $45, that's what he told me, so.
But it's not, you know.
Well, it doesn't
You do it for
necessarily,
free then.
Well, that's like 15 minutes of his time.
he's spending 15 minutes on it is what he told me.
Put it on the bill.
I mean,
telling you.
Abby, he gave us those for free. I doubt he's going to keep doing it.
I don't think he's looking
No,
at it.
with this many, I mean, that's kind of disparaging.
I know I do things for my customers sometimes that I don't charge for because it's goodwill.
I'm saying,
I'd like to see it captured, even if it's a $0.
Yeah.
Well, and then we might say that to him, and I don't think, that's not
But then to
a
the
description
point,
of
this
every
is-
single thing he does, I don't.
This is for recouping our
Custom
expenses.
expenses. Yeah.
well, let me back up though, because you called me and I'm going to call you back. So I'm not disparaging the lawyer. I'm simply saying he's been very good about giving us an accurate bill in a timely fashion. And all I'm pointing out is that it's not on here. He's been very vocal about the whole petition thing. He gave a whole speech at the last meeting. So he's very well aware of it and what it's burdening our town. I just find it remarkable that he would not mention, I mean, the detail adds up to the number we paid.
Maybe he's given pro bono for a few, but it may not be that if we have like
Well,
20 of them.
we just need to know that. I mean, that's great, and I'll thank them, but we
Well,
need to know that.
Today's Wednesday, he might have a meeting, I could text him.
Well, I think it is worth asking.
Yeah.
Let's just know, because again, I don't want to surprise Bill.
Right, well, we need, I think, more information before we start making any changes.
Well, again, we're going in the hole. Here's the other thing. So we had 19, and even before we had any kind of fee, we had at least 5. So we got nothing for those first 5. So we're already kind of behind the 8 ball here on that. In budget, you know, I'm pretty strict on budget. I think that we need to consider what it's costing us. It's costing everybody.
To follow up on your original comment, Tom, about the engineers and surveys, I would agree. I think I'd like to have a conversation with them, because what are they doing? They're surveying the piece of property. We know they're registered professional land surveyers, but what are they comparing it to? Because I brought up the question if we have a survey, and that's going to be a whole other topic, but
Well, let's pretend for a minute we do. I think they're comparing it to our survey and saying this is
and if we
in and out
don't,
of the town.
and if we don't, what's the point of that
that's
survey and that
different.
property?
Well, I talked to him about what would you charge to look over these ETJ, and I sent him a sample. I don't remember which property I sent him. I sent him a sample. This has 3 surveys on it. What would you charge to look over this to make sure that it's accurate? And then that's when he gave me the 15 to 30 minutes.
That's what I'm
per
saying.
survey.
He is looking at that particular petition, but he's got to have something to compare it to.
But I would imagine he's looking at that line that says this is the town boundary and this parcel was not included in the petition to be removed, right? So all they're doing is verifying that we put the line in the right place and nobody's taking our town in or out. So he's not looking at the whole survey. That's already a legal,
Yeah.
stamped survey. Not the towns, but the private individuals. Like, my survey is correct, your survey is correct, Tom's survey.
And I guess that's what I don't understand about what we're employing them to do. Are we not trusting the meets and bounds that's in the petition, and they're having to verify those meets and bounds by going to the county and pulling the deeds? How are they justifying the meets and bounds on that petition? That's what I'm questioning.
My expectation was it was just to verify that nobody's taking more or less of the town, that
So
line.
they're just looking at our side of the line.
That's
And
what I
if any
would
of
say.
those meets and bounds are on our side of the line.
Right, just to make sure there's no encroachment, right? They're not, because the lawyer already said, they can't take themselves out of the town. That's a whole different.
But that doesn't, and I'm tracking you now, but that brings up another problem. Now are we allowing them to take property from their neighbor to Sphere?
Well, yeah, they shouldn't be able to.
Well, especially if they sell this land, I mean, it would be a real mess if we haven't done our due diligence to make sure that it's correct.
I guess I just don't know what the surveyor is doing still.
Well,
Valid
it's
question.
also the lawyer, 'cause that's, to me, there's two questions. What is the lawyer doing, and what is the surveyor doing? And, it shouldn't be hard for them to give us
An answer.
brief answer of that. How do they do their job?
Well, when I talked to the surveyor, he said that they would just have to compare it to what's on the county record to make sure that is indeed the correct one, and then it would take 15 to 30 minutes. And I'm not a surveyor, so I don't know all the parameters there. We do have some citizens. Dale Scott?
Okay.
Dale Bryant?
Dale Bryant, 11139 County Road 2464. Okay, one, on the deposit, you can do a cell phone deposit. You don't have to run down.
Not in treasure management.
And that was my next question. On the surveys and the contiguous, when you say somebody submitted 16 surveys, okay, if those surveys are contiguous, they all touch, it's one tract of land, regardless of how you define it. So, if it's contiguous, you've got to look at it as one. And I guarantee you, if you have 16 surveys, there are some of those 16 surveys do not butt up to the town property. So I think you're going to have to take every application and look at those surveys and how many of them don't touch city property. Well, there's not an issue, it's just all ETJ, right? So you don't have to separate it. We only have to separate the ones that touch town property. So that's one thing. And if they're contiguous legally, that's considered one tract of property. It's still a legal description for your property. As an example, if you viewed a petition this week, a property owner had 2 tracts of land, not contiguous. They're going to be submitted on 2 petitions. Because they're not contiguous. See, they have to be, right? But if they were looked at another and had 3 tracts of land, it went on one, but they're contiguous, they went on 1 petition. And everybody, we're looking at that too. All of the petitions that y'all have looked at, you've had a meets and bound description. Now, where did we get those? You go down to the courthouse and get a copy of the warranty deeds. And it's real simple. And then that's why we have a legal description on our property, but you don't have a legal description of the portion that's in the town. And so, and not only that, in most towns, there's a mass of land in the towns. ETJ is the area around, as a general rule, in most towns. Our problem is 90% of the citizens have property in the ETJ and in the town. So in a sense, you're penalizing the citizens because of the way you designed the town. And so I have a little bit of
That's
problem with
state
it.
law, so, okay, all right, you're kind of getting off topic.
What?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let's see, another survey. So yeah, that's our biggest problem, is just I think you were penalizing citizens for this, just simply because of the way the town is designed, because we have 2 different pieces of property. But again, the surveyor is not going to be able to do anything, because we have a legal description. We've given him a legal description of ours. He can compare it to the deed.
Okay, your time's up. Thank you, Dale.
You know,
All right, so I heard back from Attorney Berman. He's been looking over the petitions briefly. They're pretty similar, using the same basic form. So, you know, he has to open the email and he has to look over
So
them.
he's not charging,
Well,
or he's rolling it in with something?
he might be rolling in with something else. It may, you know, when I first asked him, he said it was around $45. So that's pretty cheap for a lawyer. Just saying.
So on the surveys that are solely in the ETJ, do we not have to take them to a surveyor then?
I don't know, I'm still unclear what they're surveying. Are we surveying the tract of land that's in the petition, or are we surveying everything below our boundary line in the town?
Well, I thought they were checking it against what the county record had to make sure that the document's correct.
But it takes more than 15 or 30 minutes to
I don't know.
pull it even.
Well, they might have.
If they have electronic, I mean, they may do that all the time. I don't know.
Again, I'm not sure there at the beginning of SR. All right, so Glenn Strauss. Okay, Shelley Smith.
Okay, I would say that before you decide on anything, I would find out exactly what it costs for the surveyor to do the things. I would not guess at it. I think that's ridiculous. You cannot use a penny of this money as a fundraiser. Everything either has to go to the actual job or you have to return it. It's also part of the cost of doing business. FYI, it took 6 minutes and 9 seconds to approve these 3 petitions tonight. It took 1 minute and 4 seconds to approve the Hibbs petition. So the idea of future-wise, we're going to have to pay for the time it takes the secretary to type up the minutes is ridiculous. So, thank you.
Okay, Patrick Smith.
Patrick Smith, Kaufman County, Texas. A trend that I've noticed that applies to this agenda item, but many others, is that when we seek to impose a new fee or to raise a fee, we basically speculate about what it might cost in the future. A normal business, looking at an issue like this, would say to their secretary or their financial person, okay, we've been doing these petitions for release for 7 months. What have we got in fees, and what have we paid out in expenses? Does anybody know what those numbers are? I would ask the council to look at history before you make predictions about what needs to be done for the future. And keep in mind that one of the issues, and really I don't understand what a surveyor is going to do as far as the ETJ, the citizens that are submitting copies of their surveys, they've got all the metes and bounds. The real reason for hiring a surveyor is to have them check the city limits, which are not done in metes and bounds in accordance with state law. That's not a problem caused by the citizens who are trying to remove their property from the ETJ. Just like it's a cost of business to go to the bank once in a while. In some of the paperwork filed in the packet, it looks like somebody's trying to say, oh, well, if you pay this fee that we've imposed and the secretary has to drive it to the bank, we're going to charge you for that. That's part of being a business. That's not up to the citizens to pay. Once again, I would just ask the council, before you make a decision on future fees, would you at least find out what have we actually paid in the past? Because I think somebody tonight said we're losing money. I'd like to know if that's true. Thank you.
Okay, Chad West.
Chad West, Poetry, Texas. Actually, probably the reason for this is that I have 57 contiguous acres with 3 surveys, and when I did it in separate petitions to make it easy. So my ask is that it needs to be defined. We rolled out a cost or a fee structure. We didn't define whether it was petition or petitioner. Both could be mainly different. And it would have been just as easy to throw those 3 petitions into one, and when A1, A2, A3, and let somebody else figure it out. At the end of the day, I would also remind you that while removing your ETJ as private, the annexation was also private. There was a $209 Terrell Tribune that the town paid for. It was on the meeting agenda 3 separate times, taking this council's time, the secretary's time, the minutes time. There was also legal because there was an annexation authorization form that had to be written. So that annexation is also private. So if private is funded by the citizens, it needs to go both ways.
Okay. That's a valid point. David Emmer?
Okay, David Emmerd, Poetry, Hunt County. Yes, we are on a learning curve. I highly recommend each one of you to actually find what it actually costs before increasing a charge. What does it really cost? Everything to go down. Because basically you're just checking to see if the petition was constructed properly, if all the data in there is correct. If not, then, it needs to be amended or whatever. And then the other thing, I'll go back to October, and I was number 1. It was mentioned a structure fee at that time. And Simeon, you mentioned people with limited incomes. And please take that into occurrence also, people that are retired or with limited incomes, before you go ahead and increase to whatever. But try to be mindful of all of the information that's involved with what we're trying to get to. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
All right, Scott Leahy?
Scott Leahy, County Road 2426. I have a question. I need some clarity on the last phrase of this, comma, and consider adjusting previous payments. What does the council mean by that? Are we implying that we're going to go back to people that have already been approved and back charge them? Is that what that means?
No.
Yeah, all right, we can answer that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying it could be read that way, is what I'm saying.
Well, no, it was to adjust Chad's down. Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I just didn't know if we were talking about, you know what, you see it?
I see it, I see it.
The way that reads without any context, it could be interpreted as you were going to go back charge. I would like to also comment with several other people that have spoken here. Before anything is raised, I think that an actual evaluation of the real costs needs to be done before, so that any increase or decrease could be justified. I also think that the council should seriously consider the possibility, the risk of this fee being deemed discriminatory against lower income people who can't afford it, fixed income people who may or not be able to afford it. That's something that could backfire in a large way at some point in the future. I just think that ought to be in everybody's mind when we talk about raising it or keeping it at all. I mean, I operate a business in town. I can appreciate controlling costs. At the same time, I also can appreciate controlling risk. So, thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, so all right, so this is from Attorney Berman. He says, Tara, the firm should be charging either $185 or $200 per hour, but there's a lot of stuff I just don't bill for. Poetry's budget just isn't big enough. But he did say he is looking over them, and he did initially say it was $45. So when we first started doing the fee, it was originally, I think, at $175. We negotiated down to $125. And now that we've had some under our belt, we know a little bit more, and this is a cost sheet of what we know. It's 67 minutes. That's $22 from the secretary, $4.10, including the postage, and actually on an average, it's 11.4 sheets of paper per petition. Legal is $45, mapping $50. The survey cost is average now, we know it's $73. So that's the average cost, if it just has one survey, $194.10. Each additional survey would be additional $73.
Well, I'm with Tom. I think Terry, we need to ask the surveyor what that is and what are they doing. To their point, what is it?
Signing the task without.
Well, and do we need to do it to the ones that are solely in the ETJ? Period. I mean, if they're not touching the town's border,
So
then
you recognize if he charges us $73 per survey, that's $1,100 for one petition that we're going in the hole.
if you're doing all the ones that are, that one, there's
No,
not,
that one, actually, they aren't contiguous, they're all over the place.
but they're solely in the ETJ though.
And they're, some are, some aren't.
And to Dale's point, when you start having contiguous properties, they're not surveying that middle line.
Yeah.
Wherever that point touches the next contiguous property, they're drawing their own geometrical curve around that piece of property.
Yeah.
So, to Tom and I's both point, I mean, what does this look like from our surveyor?
Well, I recognize there are a lot of questions there, but what I do know is we're not meeting our threshold. This is not in the council's budget at all for this year.
Well, cut to the point that was made, I mean, if we take the position that we're losing money, I mean, we can't prove that, how do we know that? So I don't know, and I guess if David is giving us a discount, I feel like we should pass that to the citizens. I mean, I'm not trying to incent this behavior, but, you know, if it's not costing us, it shouldn't cost them kind of a thing.
Okay, so if you take out, now, I don't know.
It's not gonna take less than 15 minutes for the surveyors. I don't even know if they bill 8 hours, so
I don't think they do.
even if it's less work and we want them to do as little as possible, it's gonna be at least 15 minutes.
Well,
So I'd look at that $48.
you know, they were here, Hendricks, the company, talking about what they would do, and they were very open. And it's a new relationship. I think it's fair to just ask them to describe.
I think we should.
Not to pay them, just to describe what is it that they do.
Yeah.
We're new to this, and they're new.
all the scenarios, continuous, outside the ETJ, non-continuous.
And I would be glad to talk to him about it, and Tom, you have an engineering background, you can speak the lingo.
That's right, I'd like to have two council members, and you guys would be fine.
That'd be good.
Be the ones to go off and walk through one with them and figure out what it
Well,
is.
part of my question, concern is the legality of what the surveyors are doing. Is this something that's putting us at risk, or is it taking the risk completely away? And how they do it, and as long as we're comfortable with what they're doing, well,
Okay,
and that we're not gonna...
Gary, I'm sorry, I just got a hold of Gary Hendricks, the surveyor that we just approved you tonight. And so, we're in a council meeting, I hope you don't mind. We did talk about a little bit about trying to get you on the spot. But anyway, this is Mayor Sinkovich of the town of Poetry. And we're, sorry to call you on the spot here, we have a question though for you. It's coming up that the surveying to look at the ETJ petition removals, I think you had said that it would take a surveyor 15 to 30 minutes per each. And I sent you samples of those. And I was just wondering if you could tell me, because I'm not a surveyor, if you could tell me, sir, be so kind to tell me, and our council here, and our citizens here, what you might be looking for, because we're not the professionals, so we need you to tell us.
There's not a whole lot we can look for.
Okay.
You're sending me a parcel map with a parcel number on it, and the best we can do is pull that up and then see if we can download the deed and check the deed. And that's really, with such limited information, that is all we're really doing.
So you're going to be checking the deed based on the county information to make sure that it's lines up?
Correct. We'll be able to pull from that. We'll be able to get the filing information in the county, pull that deed using the resources we have, review that deed and make sure it matches the parcel, and that is really all we can do.
All right, so I was told it would take 15 to 30 minutes per survey. Now, if a survey is connected and contiguous with another survey, would that be quicker?
I'm not following your question. Can you ask it again?
Yes, sir. So if there is a contiguous survey, a survey right next to one another, would that be something that would be less of a charge? We're trying to figure out a fee structure. You have to look at each one individually, even if it's contiguous? Okay. We're trying to be fair, and we're trying to be more accurate with what a surveyor charge would be. And so that's why we needed your input. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we would have to look at each parcel individually, even if they're adjoining, we have to look at each parcel individually.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, he said it. What's he comparing it to? How are we knowing it's in the ETJ and if it's not?
So if a property is in our ETJ versus not, you're just comparing it with the deed that's on file and then maybe the meets and bounds that we have online of our town?
Well, I haven't seen your ETJ, but we would have to have your ETJ mapped in order to compare it to where the ETJ is. So once we get engaged with you guys, we'll have a better understanding of what your city limits are, what your ETJ is, and then once we get this information, for example, somebody petitioned to be removed, we can take a look at where that parcel is, verify it against the deed, and then see how it compares to your actual ETJ. But at the moment, we're flying blind. I don't have that information right now.
Right, and it is in spot. We did approve the contract tonight, so the agreement, the service agreement, so tonight, so just so you know. And I do apologize for putting you on the spot there, but we're at loss for how to proceed with this. So thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate it very much.
So we'll be comparing it against your ETJ, but in order to do that, we'll have to do some groundwork first. We'll need to understand your city limits and your ETJ, and then we'll be able to make a direct comparison.
Gotcha. All right, so the 15 to 30 minutes, I put on there $48 to $98 with an average price of $73. Is that anywhere?
Sure. I don't know.
Okay.
And where we're at, I don't know. It'll sure.
So on your agreement, I think it was, we have a price leased on your agreement, and that's where I took the number from. So, yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for being a good sport.
Good luck with your rest of your meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Can we hit that thermostat again, please?
You cold? Yeah.
There's a beef over here that already...
All right. Heat, okay, I had turned that up to 65, I just turned it to 68, but I can turn it to heat.
No, just turn off. We'll make enough heat. Just turn the air conditioner off, it's cold.
Okay, so...
Information that I have, let's see.
So it sounds like there is a cost per survey, but
But he still doesn't know what he needs to look at some stuff.
Again, if they're solely in the ETJ, do we care?
Well, maybe not, but to his point, he needs the ETJ map.
Yeah.
But it extends a half mile.
Attorney Vernon's thing was him trying to get part of the town out. That was his concern, and I can see that.
That's why we agreed with the less than accept. We felt
it's covered that. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't belabor this forever. Okay, so I know that we're going forward now that we have an engineer with a surveyor on board. Gary actually is the surveyor. We're going to have to do our due diligence and put him on these. So it's going to cost us on average probably around $73. So we're not, and legal has been trying to be good to us, but I don't know that we're guaranteed that. So can we just charge an average cost of something and then add $73 for the survey, is all I'm asking, per survey? Because if someone has one survey versus someone has 10, that's a huge difference. It's a huge difference.
Right.
And it's,
I'm wanting to walk through this with Gary Hendricks not being put on the spot.
Yeah, I'd like to have that info from both of y'all.
Would you be willing to do that, Tom? Do what? Me and you meet with them and answer some of these questions.
Through what it's gonna be.
Sure. Via email.
Well, do you think there's a chance that you won't want a survey done at all?
No.
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I want him to tell us what he is doing.
well, I
I
think
mean, if we're,
he just did
my
it,
thought
didn't
is
he?
that if we know for sure that we're gonna want them to look at it, it's gonna be at least 15 minutes, and we can put that at least.
How old is this ordinance that we passed to charge? 2 months old? February 15th?
I don't know.
Maybe October.
I want to make a motion. I motion that we keep it at the $125 until we have more information. I'm not convinced we're losing money. I'm not trying to lose the town money, but I don't feel justified in raising it when we have all the question marks that we have. I mean, it may need to go up even more.
I agree.
I don't know.
You need to, Mike, we need to address Chad's.
Well, we can do, you can have a separate
Okay, good. I didn't want to.
Yeah, my motion is just to not change anything for the moment. Leave it at $125 until we have information. Right, more information, and at that time, we'll adjust it. It may go up to $1,000, I don't know, but I think this is just guessing, and I don't think we should guess.
And you seconded that.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Jaffe to wait to talk with the surveyor more at length. Is that what you're motion?
Leave it alone.
Leave it at
$125.
And it's seconded by Anderson. All those in favor? And is that 5? Okay. And that passes 5-0.
And then we can put it on next month's agenda with some
Yeah, so
facts.
I think we have some more action items still.
That's fine.
That we don't even have, I don't think we have to vote on for me and Tom to go, we can auto-assign ourselves to go check and
Yeah.
questions. So,
Yeah.
so through the secretary, if you come up with one, if you're if you're good with it, fine, but if you, I think send them through Ann, or just reach out to one of us.
One of us, yeah.
But then if you want to continue with
Do you want to
Chad's.
make a motion to refund or change or whatever?
Well, it's gonna be hard to refund without knowing the cost.
I think we should wait.
I think we voted, that night, in my mind, we was voting on a petition. We hadn't set any ground rules of, he did it, like he said, he did it to make it easier for us. We voted it one time. We didn't vote on 3 petitions.
But there's still surveys.
We wrote it
But we wrote it for a petition.
Yeah.
We voted it as one petition,
Yeah.
But with 3 surveys.
but we didn't pass
Okay,
it
so-
for the surveys.
Oh, I know.
Wait on that too.
Did we
until
vote
know.
3 petitions with 1 vote? Did we just approve all of Chad's petitions?
So that can come back if we want to research that. Did we vote it one time, and then we feel that it was one charge, or did we vote 3 times and it's 3 charges?
We voted 3
Well, you
times.
voted 1 time for 3 different applications.
There were 3
I mean, if we
petitions.
were just voting for all of Chad's.
I don't recall.
Okay, there's enough confusion. I'd like somebody to make a motion. Put some language around this, because we got a lot of petitions in the next 30 days, and we should know.
We got a lot. Well, and do we?
How do we bring them to agenda? How do we charge them? How do we whatever them?
So is this an ordinance? What is the charge?
It's not an ordinance, it's just that's based on 19 that we've had, and we're trying to give a cost.
I'm saying the current one that would use a fee structure, how is that worded right now? What did we pass? Did
Was
we
that
say
an ordinance
survey, or did we say fee?
Petition.
So,
Per petition.
Petition, and he had 3 petitions. I mean, to the letter of the law, he did what was required, and that's,
but moving forward, then, if it's a single petition with multiple,
well, we haven't changed anything.
Well, that's
So, so
yeah.
is that, we're leaving it as is, we're leaving the fee as is,
okay.
per petition,
We're leaving it.
and the language.
$125 per petition, packet, whatever.
Yeah.
Because we have one with 14, we have some with 1, we have one with 3.
And it brings up the point for next month. I do not, the 300 pages for a packet seems kind of a lot of trees.
So, do we want to do what she was talking about, if the attorneys have two council members look it over, and if it's good, we just let it expire in 45 days
And
and
then we
go.
send them a letter that
Does
they've
he
been approved.
recommend to letting it expire, or we put it on
You
a consent
can.
agenda and pass it on?
You could do a consent agenda.
But,
I like the idea of an affirmative closure, not a,
I do too.
I don't like this, well, we think it expired, we're not
Well,
sure.
if you do it on consent agenda, then it is passed by council, but then we don't have to belabor it because
Okay,
we.
but on consent, is it each individual one still, we're taking 19 votes? Or is consent,
19 votes.
if it's 19 petitions?
Well,
Strictly
I
speaking, you
mean,
take one vote, everything falls under it.
We don't currently do that.
We didn't do it tonight.
we didn't do it tonight, we've done it in the past.
we could do it that way now because you guys are very
That would be what
detail
you were talking about
oriented.
earlier, a couple meetings ago,
But like the county, when I went to the county meeting, they just, it's one vote for all consent items.
Yeah,
We
because
could
those
do
are
that.
routine things too.
And it does give us the, if they're listed out 19, we can always add, if one of us says, I'd like to look at that, we can add it to the regular agenda.
Right.
It would
Pull
save
one
some
out.
time, but again, though, if it's on the consent agenda, that still means we have to print it out and it's in the packet.
Okay, so I'm leaving here understanding the charge is $125 per petition packet, independent of the number of surveys. We may come back next month and put a per survey fee or something, we don't know. Hopefully it'll be based on actual cost or expected cost. Okay, and we're not giving any money back yet.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so
That's
do
what I
you,
heard.
okay, we have something, okay, do you want to try and do it on consent agenda, or do you want to just allow them to receive a letter of notification that it has been approved based on two council members who look at it?
I think consent agenda, if we have any issue, we pull it off, but it's regular agenda and talk about it.
But she's talking about, it's still, we're still having to put it on
Still having
the, put it all on the
still having
agenda.
to be a packet that's 300 pages long.
What's the legal requirement for the packets? How many do you have to have?
One.
So, well,
That's, I'm not sure I want to do that.
I mean, it's not
Well,
great.
I mean, does every citizen in the gallery want to see every petition? I don't know. You could put the petition separate and,
Are you good with just doing one packet next month and then having it all on consent agenda and allowing two now who's
I
going
don't
to
even
step
think
up?
we need two councils. We can put it on the consent agenda. If a council member comes in here with an issue with one of the petitions, it will be removed and put on the main agenda.
Okay.
Right.
but we need visibility to them. How are we going to see them?
We will still receive
You
them.
guys receive them.
I was going to say, because my computer's got a lot of drive. You can send me.
Yeah, and I don't
just
want
in
them
case.
to send with the meeting packet where I'm having to review 19. I want them.
As they come, I love it,
Yeah,
they come.
yeah, she's been sending that to me.
But it would be nice to have a tally of how many are out there, because they're just like
Well, she
everywhere.
has a tally on her desk, I think
Well,
right now.
and
it's
some of them
just
get
waiting.
dropped off, so we may not see them. If the citizens sends one to us electronically, we get it, but if they just drop off a hard copy,
They eventually get scanned and
scanned, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
if they're scanned,
So she is
then they put in a file on our forum for review. Almost like a shared drive.
Okay, so that's a lot of work, so we'll agree on it.
We're going to be coming up with a shared drive, working with Josh to make that happen.
So right now, then, they'll just be emailed
We
to
could
us.
do
It's
it.
your responsibility.
We'll be emailed, that's right, we'll look at them, though, it doesn't hurt to have them also in the packet, so we make sure we have everyone electronic.
Electronic
Look.
packet.
So we get one, and I find a discrepancy in it, and I'd like to look at it.
Well,
I would like to have a little, would you like to have a little heads up that that's where we're going that meeting night?
I think there are two.
Go through the secretary,
There are
okay.
two that I think have a discrepancy based on, for next month, but anyway, we'll talk about that. Okay.
Okay, so that's, we'll just go through hers, that's good.
Agenda for a try or not.
That's what I'm gathering. Is everyone good with that?
Yeah,
Pretty
because
good.
otherwise they have 30 items on the regular agenda. Of course,
Yeah.
you go quick, but you'll still have a lot of items.
Yeah.
But then we can just vote in one swoop. Okay, all
We
right.
can always follow the regular agenda if you
Yeah,
don't like it.
absolutely. Okay, moving on. All right, glad we had that one over. All right, item 9, discuss and take action on moving the May regular meeting of May 16th to May 30th, 2024. I know we did this last year for one of the council members. This year, I have a business trip, and so I'm asking for that.
I'm okay.
It's good, my date's fine.
I want my,
I'm a mayor pro tem. I need to exercise that power.
Well, we moved the meeting last year for Tom, and the year before we moved it for someone else, Fowler, so I'm just asking for the same courtesy.
mine was denied.
Citizen comments?
Del Bryan?
Did we finish the other one with citizen
No, I don't think we did.
I mean, people that so far asked to change the meeting were people with votes. Mayor didn't have a vote. And you not run it with the mayor pro tem. And I think it gives you some good experience. Thank you.
Okay, Glenn Strauss.
Do you want to?
Okay.
I got beer anyway.
You had to prepare it.
No, I'm not gonna prepare it.
Well, I won't be around to prepare it, and that's the hard part. It's like a term paper. It's like
It'll be a real
literally,
simple meeting.
we wouldn't get anything done. So, yeah, no, it's
Let's see what you got.
dozens of hours. It's like a term paper.
Let's see what you got. Come on, y'all gave me the title. I mean, was that all?
Yeah.
Was it just the one?
That number 9.
No, the one.
Oh, yeah, that was it on citizen comment.
Okay.
Motion to approve. Accept moving the meeting to the 30th.
Second.
Terry, can you do that? I mean, your schedule?
Yeah, I'll just have to.
That's why we wanted to do it now, because that would give you time, because I think you have the hardest schedule probably.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion by Anderson, second by White, to approve this change of the meeting. It
was me.
Oh, was it you? I'm sorry. Scratch that, it was Blake.
I thought it was Anderson.
It was Anderson made the motion, Blake jumped the gun on White.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I misread. All right, all those in favor, and that passes unanimously. Okay, number 10, discuss and take action on opening the second annual Poetry Agriculture Scholarship application season beginning April 1st to May 31st, 2024, with presentations in June. So I believe that's in the packet. I think it is.
It is.
We fine-tuned it a little bit last year, yes. So, last year we had $1,500 donated. If you would like to donate, please see Secretary Ann or Secretary Teresa. We had 3 people.
And make it out to cash.
Yeah.
So that, we had,
Too soon.
yeah. So this is, it's kind of, and then the idea behind this was to promote agriculture, since we tout ourselves as an agricultural-based rural community. So that was to encourage students current students or prospective students with a valid proof of approval from a university, community college, vocational, or trade school age 17 and up. Okay? And then they have to have a GPA of 2.0 and above, and then they have to write a 300 to 500 word essay in their work experience. And then it says, in an effort to encourage future agriculture-related endeavors, we'll provide an annual scholarship opportunity for students who reside in the town of Poetry and its ETJ for those who want to study or currently studying agriculture, agricultural business, agricultural economics, ag marketing, aquaculture, animal science, poultry science, entomology, veterinarian, medicine, or trade schools, including but not limited to the above. Anyway, so
I'm good with it.
you're good with it?
Good.
A motion?
Well, no. Well, before that too. So if we don't get donations, how's it funded?
Well, it could be $100.
I mean, just for clarification, that.
It is donations only.
So
I
if
mean,
we don't-
unless you guys want to do something else.
So if we don't receive any donations, we don't get a scholarship?
I guess.
Well, can we legally take it out of the general fund or something? I think we need to backstop it somehow, just in case. We don't want to do all that work and then they get nothing.
I think we have a lot of generous people in our midst.
Well, I think so, but, so it's an easy
Hopefully we'll get
path.
something, not nothing. We're filling all that out.
Tom, you back us up to the general.
Well, I wouldn't want to take money out of account without checking with Mr. Berman, make sure that that's a legal action.
Okay.
I mean, I put in some money.
Got it.
I'd put in at least something, so they wouldn't be
We have $2.
goose
We're
egg.
good.
All right, Adele Bryant,
Stamp. Pass.
okay, Glenn Strauss, Scott Leahy.
Scott Leahy, County Road 2426. I have a daughter in college and another one not too far away, so I can completely appreciate the value of scholarships. However, I would like to say that with all of the discussion we've had about how the town is spending money, this should continue to be donation-driven and donation-driven only. I don't think, I'm all for it if it's donation-driven. I don't think this is something that's core to the operation of the town, and I don't think the town should be spending any money on it. Having said that, I think it's a great idea if we can get donors to fund it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
I think we will. I don't think it'll be an issue.
Okay. Yeah, we do. Poetry has a lot of generous souls, so I don't think we'll have a problem there. So, all right, is there a motion?
Make a motion, we accept this scholarship as written.
Okay, we have a motion by Anderson, second by Jaffe. All those in favor? And that passes unanimous. So we had a unanimous night.
Good.
Very good. Going on to general public comments. I don't have a sheet on that. Is there a sheet?
Good news, Tom, you're gonna get home in time for whatever you do.
It's, I know.
Pretty good.
Okay, Del Bryant.
Poetry. On the ETJ thing, I ran out of my 3 minutes. One of the other things that you can do to reduce this cost is on the redaction. What are we redacting? A social security number, driver's license number? Who with the city has ever verified that information? It's not needed on an individual petition. It's only needed when you do an election. And where do I get that information from? From the attorney with the Secretary of State. It says you don't need it when it's an individual petition, only when it's an election, because you have to verify that they're actually citizens and they're actually voters and they're actually of the age. And you have to make sure you have enough verifiable signatures on a petition, right, to make it valid. So you don't need it, so that would be something, the redactions, just say, hey, don't give us that information anymore, because we don't do anything with it, and you don't have to redact anything.
A correction on that. The date of birth is required, and that is a redacted item.
No, because there's
Yes, sir.
engineers already checking the CAD.
Okay, so the attorney has, okay, a matter of fact, the attorney has said date of birth is required or a voter ID, so that is,
Wrong, but we can talk to the attorney with the Secretary of State who is in charge of elections.
okay, Glenn Strauss. Okay. Shelley Smith.
So I have a question about the meeting last time. I was told to leave the meeting before it was over because I did this. So y'all don't do this, okay? Apparently doing this is terrible. But going back and looking at the video, the meeting was not adjourned, or was the video cut off before the end of the meeting?
It was adjourned.
It was? So it was not adjourned, so the video was cut off before the meeting was adjourned? So the video was edited?
Can't answer that.
And there was no motion made to postpone the rest of the meeting. How are we going to justify that?
We're not here to answer your questions, so you can state comments, okay?
So if we...
Again, interrogations from you. You can meet us after the meeting if you would like to discuss some of these things, but we're not going to...
We're not going to reconcile that there was no motion?
Okay, so...
I move we adjourn the previous meeting.
So Attorney Berman asked me to adjourn the meeting, which I did.
When?
Do you guys remember this?
When
we shouldn't be discussing it, but again, on general comments, it's for comments, not for interrogations.
I'm sorry,
So,
I wasn't there because I did this, so I'm just checking to see what happened. So,
all right. Good enough. All right. Patrick Smith?
Patrick Smith, Coffin County. Who paid the state trooper to attend the last meeting of this town council?
you can answer with facts.
Yeah, the agenda that the town has put out for years now, under general comments, says the town council can respond with factual information. So I'm seeking a member of the town council or the secretary, that I think is part of this party. Does anybody know who paid the state trooper who was present at the last town council meeting? I asked for factual information from the council or the secretary. What amount of money was that state trooper paid? I again asked the members of the town council and the secretary for factual information as to who are the members of the current P&Z committee. I asked the town council and the secretary once again, when were the P&Z meetings held from November 16th to the present? Where were they held? Have any expenses incurred by the P&Z committee been paid for by the town, such as maps, printouts, zoning, official newspaper notices, public hearing notices, things like that? I'll ask the town secretary, do you have copies of the minutes of the meetings of the P&Z committee from November 16th, 23 to the present? And she will not answer. With regards to the citizens who were selected to get the privilege to attend the secret P&Z meetings, who made that decision? Okay. Thank you for not trying to throw me out.
David Emmer.
Okay, David Emerald, where do I live? Poetry at Hunt County. Welcome from Honduras. Thank you. We had a wonderful 9 days. General, right? Okay. Anyway, I'm on a lighter note. Is that okay? My problem is the flag outside on that flagpole. It's tattered. It's been almost 16 years since our son was in Iraq, and I would just really like the town of Poetry to honor his death, please, with a decent flag standing there. And also the disposal of the flag needs to be done by the Boy Scouts or the normal flag ceremonies. If y'all would do that, I'd be really a happy Poetry person. That's all.
Thank you, David.
Amen.
Yep.
Scout box outside of Forest City Hall.
Okay, Scott Layhew. Scott Layhew.
They're asking to drop it off.
Okay, Haley Dennis. Is she here?
Yeah, she's coming.
Okay.
Hi, Haley Dennis, Poetry resident. I'm gonna move this down a little bit. Last Thursday's circus was incredibly insulting to every citizen that took the time to come sit and wait for 4 hours before they were allowed to voice their opinion, concern, or even support on the zoning ordinance. It was incredibly negligent to pass an ordinance with misspelled words in it. Was there ever even a list made of what we do not want in our town? There were random items thrown out there here and there of what we don't want by the council and mayor. One of them being the electrical substation compared to the one in Union Valley. Well, I'll have you know it that that's my childhood home that sits right there. That's where my family still lives. And so your zoning ordinance will not ever stop an electrical substation like that coming in. FEC has more money and power than Poetry, and they eminent domain the property, and they take over it. And they do it as they wish. However, your own zoning ordinance would allow for one under the public utility part in section 10.2.1.2. You say the ordinance is to protect morals. Who is morals? The devils, because that's what it seems like. This was another rush to pass something without ironing out the kinks, just like the gerrymandered incorporation election. I think the citizens deserve to know what would have happened that evening if Mr. Anderson had been there to vote instead of the ringmaster. Thank you.
Okay, Rachel Fosseler. Okay, hi.
I just wanted to make a comment about the ETJ. We live right on the edge, and so we've had trouble from, like, when trash got changed. Titan called us and said we could keep our trash service, but then they stopped delivering because then they got told they actually couldn't, and so we have a lot of confusion around that, and we've tried to figure that out a few times, but like the surveyor said earlier, he would have to have it to compare to it. And I was just curious, by local government code 41001, it says each city in Texas must maintain an up-to-date map showing its boundaries and ETJ. But I can't find that anywhere. And so we just moved out here and spent everything we had to get out here, and it's just kind of scaring us and freaking us out that we can't figure out, we worked our butts off to get our ag exemption, and then we just got zoned single-family estate. And so I emailed Simeon about that, and the response I got, said that basically it would be ignored that we're single-family estate by this council, and that they won't come and fine us and stuff like that for having animals. But then you said that any future council could change the zoning qualification, add restrictions, or any number of other additional retractions, which is just like, I mean, how am I even supposed to like paint the walls in my house or change anything with my money if everything's threatened? And I've got 4 kids, so it's just like, do we need to move? Do we need to sell? Like, we got 3% interest rate to get out here. Like, I don't want to give that up. And I just want to voice how scary that is, to have everything you have threatened by zoning. And it just feels like just so upsetting to see a small town do something like that. And then to look at all the towns around us, like to drive into Terrell and see that like they can put a shed in their backyard and do whatever they want, and Terrell won't bother them, is what it feels like. Like just driving into Terrell, like if you can just get out of Poetry. So I just want to live in a place where I don't feel like jealous of Terrell, Like,
Well, just a matter of fact, Terrell's zoning ordinance is 307 pages long, ours is 17.
Yes.
But I would like to talk with you after the meeting and maybe allay some of those fears, because I think they're unfounded.
Sorry, Rachel, were you finished
So,
speaking?
yeah,
the one thing I really want to make clear was, I understand that you can try to lay some of those fears down, but as he said, I can only make a handshake with you, and whoever comes after you it's up to them. And I just don't want to pave the way for the way the country goes, which is like back and forth and praying that a good person is in order.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right, so Rachel is our last speaker. The time is now 8:33 p.m. Glenn, I thought you passed. Did you not pass?
I'll take care of the flag.
You'll take care of the flag in the proper manner? Okay, thank you, Glenn. All right. We do have 2 backup bags. All right. Our time tonight is 8:34 p.m. Meeting adjourned.
She's the one that's supplies the water, the candy.
Hey, honey. How are you? Oh, all right.
So is that an invitation to go stay in your vacation home? Hey, man, if you don't help us, I don't know how private it is.
I'm good. How are you?
So now it's gonna be really